Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. All right, today we're talking about the 2024 Ford Mustang, the S650. This is a redesigned, heavily redesigned from the S550 Mustang. I don't expect tremendous changes in the outside. When I say tremendous, I mean where it looks like a new model. You're going to know it's a Mustang. The heavy lines that run down the side, the recessed area, and the doors into the rear quarter, the Mustang taillights, even though they'll probably be shaped a little bit different, the sequential headlights that you'll see in the front, the headlight assembly. So obviously the blinkers in that. Will there be fog lights or will it be incorporated somehow into that headlight assembly? Who knows? A couple of the renderings doesn't show it. Also, those renderings are from private people, even though very talented, but it's not what we're going to get. It's probably very close, at least from what I hear. So, looking at the exterior of the car, it's going to be a new Mustang, right? The front's going to be different. There's going to be a little bit of difference in the rear, but overall, the car, the wheelbase, it's a Mustang. Now, there was some talk about the CD6 platform being used, and I think this was an early on thing when you're thinking hybrid and all wheel drive. I think that made sense, but it would make the Mustang bigger if that platform wasn't modified because the wheelbase on a CD6 for a Ford Explorer is about 119 inches, and on a Mustang is 107. So obviously things could be tweaked and modified, but then you sort of negate going to that platform if you're now going to redesign a lot of it, right? So you would start from where you're at on S650 and work your way from there. At least I would think. Now, a lot of it's for manufacturing, is for modularity. So I do get the platforms, but I don't think it's going to be that platform. Of course, there again, I'm like everyone else with an opinion here on the S650 Mustang. Now, the biggest change, obviously, the exterior will be different. You'll know it's a Mustang, but it will be different. The interior, however, I think is going to be, at least from spy photos, it's going to be heavily modified, if not totally redone. So the steering wheel is going to be a flat bottom. The instrument cluster has changed. Now it's digital. There's going to be a big infotainment screen, big touchpad that you're going to be able to do most of the tech and the safety, which will increase in the S650 as well. Also, the climate control does appear to be manual, so you can turn the knobs and flip the switches, turn the fan on and off. So I think that is very good because it's easy. Let's face it, when you're driving, it's easy to reach over and pretty quick couple functions, and you can change the temperature of the fan versus having to do something on the touchpad. Of course, there'll be audio in this as well, and you'll be able to do voice control for a lot, but it's just so much easier. And when you're thinking Mustang is a vehicle that you want to be hands on. You're on the steering wheel. If you get a 6-speed manual transmission, you're really filling the car there. Even with the 10-speed automatic, you're in a Mustang. It's in a cool design. I don't expect them to lose the greenhouse effect, where you can really see good out of the windshield, the side windows, and the rear. Of course, the rear is always tighter, but in a Mustang, you don't feel claustrophobic. At least I don't. A lot of good design there. I think that'll stay the same, but I think everything else inside is going to be quite a bit different. I'm really looking forward. Ford released a video today on Twitter, and we're getting ready to look at the picture where the rear trim ring on the trunk is gone, and it just says, well, in this case here, showing a GT, it shows GT there. I don't know what color this is, but it's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and pop this in. Now, this is over on Mustang 7G. Highly recommend check out the site here, and it's we just recently joined them. Honestly, I am a Mustang fan from a long time ago. The Mustang right here in this poster, which is it's on a book, my book Driven, by the way. You can see it right there. It's black and gold 66 GT, obviously not the original paint scheme, but my first car in 1986 was a Mustang 2. I loved it. I know I get it, but it was a Mustang 2. Love that car. The second one was a 66. Had a 91 GT. Recently sold it. Yes, I regret it. I'll buy it back one day. I can guarantee it. My daughter has a 2010 Mustang. Also had a '07 GT 500, which I did sell a few years ago, and I'm getting ready to get a 2024. we've got to wait for the car to be revealed, and then we have to wait until that silly season between September 14th and the order guide coming out. And when I say silly season, I have two Ford Broncos. I have a Bronco Raptor on the way. I can tell you I have been following heavily, covering heavily. If you look here on our channel, if you're new to our channel, you'll know that it's mostly Bronco. If you've been tuning in, then you know that we've been heavy on the Bronco details. There is a tremendous amount of questions. There'll be things talked about that are pulled back, maybe some stuff added. So silly season starts September 14th and goes until whenever the order guide is made public, and you can actually go in and order your Mustang. It's just the way the world is now. Ford's also doing some really cool stuff with being more direct with the consumer. So social media has obviously helped, and so they can go from there. Well, if you look right here on Mustang 7G, you'll see that the new GT badge there, it says performance in there. The way performance is written there reminds me of the original 64 or 65, 64, there's no GTs, but 65, 66, where performance was written in that 289 badge that was on the front fender. And of course, later on in 68, when the 302 came out, it was kind of introduced from there. That's really cool. So you can check this out, Ford Mustang, at Ford Mustang over on Twitter. Obviously, you can go to Mustang 7G. Great platform, by the way. Any news that's over here, I don't think anything else has really, broke too much. The Stampede is a big deal. Here we can see the S650 heavily camoed, obviously. But the exhaust sound on the engine. I was thinking with the Coyote, were they going to change anything with the crank, the internals at all? There was some thought that maybe they get rid of the flat plane crank and go to a cross plane in this. But if you listen to the audio sound that Ford released, first of all, you can tell there's definitely a 6-speed manual there. But you can really hear that scavenging effect in that engine. So it's, in my humble opinion, it's a flat plane still. So the Coyote is going to get some, maybe more compression. Obviously, cam profile is going to be, maybe slightly different. Something's going to be different there, I think, in the airflow in the engine. And then, of course, they're going to do a lot with tuning electronics and things like that. Are they going to get the horsepower that they lost in 22 back? That's yet to be determined, but I definitely think 500, north of 500 is a possibility. Who knows? Maybe 510 would be a really sweet number to get, but we'll see. The exterior, you'll know it's a Mustang, but you'll also know it's new. The interior, totally redone. I say totally redone. Yes, you'd still see, know it's a Mustang, but compared to what we've had over the last, 10 years, it's truly going to move away from that nostalgia, that throwback look, and trying to keep the original Mustang design cues in there. And it's going to move to, obviously, a new era, so 2024. I'd like to know what you think. Suspension, what are they going to do different with that? The grill, is the grill going to look like the renderings you've seen? I think the rear valance, where the taillights are and up in the rear of the car, the deck lid, obviously is not per that design that's running around the internet. I think that GT badge right there that you just saw, that shows that the back of the car is not concaved, or whatever angle that is. It's not that reverse V. It's not that. Okay, that's safe to say that's wrong, and that was, I don't know what that was. But I don't think Ford would ever do that to the rear of the car, but I do think there's going to be some changes around the taillight area. And the deck lid does look a little bit different. The spoiler, where the keyhole goes in somewhere, that looks obviously different. I think it's going to be fun. This is really going to be cool to see what we get on September 14th. Don't expect to know everything on September 14th. That is going to be a light reveal. You're going to see the car. They might talk about the trims, but performance numbers, all of the tech, it's going to be closer to the order guide coming out. One of that, they don't want the competition to know too far in advance everything that's there. The other thing is there's probably still some works, things in the works, I should say, with that. So let me know what you think. Will you know it's a Mustang when you see it? Sure you will. But how different will it be from the current 550? And the interior is going to be dramatic. We'll talk about drivetrain later. I really think that 510 on the horsepower and the interior is going to be just a home run. The exterior is going to be, people are going to love it. People are going to hate it. A lot of people will warm up to it later on. It just takes some getting used to. But I do think the S650 is an exciting thing. Ford has learned from the Bronco launch. They've learned quite a few things, I'm quite certain. But one of the things is, hold back expectations originally, because when it gets closer to time to produce the Mustang there in Flat Rock, will all of the components be ready from the suppliers? And will there be any constraints? And there's that in there. So I do think that you'll get a soft launch on September 14th, and then you'll have details trickling out, maybe weekly, maybe every 2-3 weeks. You're going to start to get some more details, and then really performance numbers closer to when the car comes out. So anyway, hey everyone, if you haven't already, please like the video if you like it. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and we look forward to talking more and more and more about the S650 Mustang. And like I said, rumor mill everywhere. I try to stay focused on the details, what we know, and closer we get, I think every few days you're going to get something from Ford there on social media. So we'll be able to start to piece this together, and then on the 14th see it. I would love to be in Detroit on the 14th. I don't know if that's possible at this point, but if something changes, I'll be there covering it for our channel, and I look forward to talking to you soon.